Hi guys, happy Friday to everybody. As I mentioned, I am going to make a video on how to make volcano Play-Doh. So given that it's kind of windy and not very nice out, I am not going to explode my volcano tonight, but I am going to do a how-to video on how to make the Play-Doh that we would construct our volcano out of. Okay, so full disclosure and full warning, this is a little bit of a mess. Usually if we were in a science class, we would probably cover the whole tables in some type of tablecloth. You guys would have your aprons on, and we would probably have a better cleanup system with all of the access to all of the science materials. However, if you guys have newspaper at home, or if you have a trash bag or something that you want to kind of cover your table with, I am using an old Amazon box, okay, for kind of table coverage for the mess that I might make. We are going to make Play-Doh that is going to, it will last a while, but you have to put it in a bag when it's finished. So when you're done, so that the Play-Doh doesn't dry out, you got to put it in some type of plastic bag or a Ziploc bag so that it'll kind of keep for as long as you want it. Or if you're also going to explode a volcano with me, I'll do a second video on how to do that probably later this weekend. So for tonight, I'm just going to start with a simple recipe for the Play-Doh. Okay, this is homemade Play-Doh. If you do not have this stuff, do not worry about it. Okay, but if you do and you want to be adventurous and make your own volcano over spring break or even the week following, that would also be awesome. So I'm going to show you guys. We're going to need 2 cups of flour, a tablespoon of oil, a cup of salt, a cup of water. And if you would like a purple volcano or a blue volcano or whatever color you want to make, you can use food coloring. That's optional down there. I am not going to use food coloring for mine, just so that everybody kind of can see the basics for this. So I am going to be posting this video for a discussion after spring break, but you can start to brainstorm now some lab safety procedures that I could follow at home. So I already washed my hands, but if you notice, I have a lot of jewelry on. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take that off first. If you notice, my hair is up and in a bun. I am sure that you guys could think of a couple other things that Miss Hessner could be doing lab safety-wise, or that you could be doing at home, especially if you have siblings or parents and guardians that you need to help you with some stuff. Make sure they're also taking the safety precautions that we've talked about all year. Okay, so first things first, flour is always a mess, but I'm going to start with my flour. Okay, it can just be regular flour. If you have some other type of special flour that you use, that will also work. Okay, I'm going to do my best, it does not have to be perfect, to measure 8 ounces, which my math people, 1 cup, 8 ounces right here. Okay, I'm going to stop at that fill line so that I'm pretty accurate, and already I can tell this flour is going to go everywhere. Woo. All right, which is why I'm probably going to wear a smock or a shirt that's not going to get messy or that I won't worry about ruining. Okay. Like I said, you probably don't need gloves for this, but do make sure that you wash your hands, just because other people are going to be touching the Play-Doh if you make it at home. Okay, so here's my cup as best I can. See, that's why you want to cover your table a little bit. Ooh. Yep, lots of flour. Okay, so I did a little bit more than a cup, so I'm going to pour a little bit back before my second cup so that I'm pretty even. Okay, and if I pack it down, that's about a cup. Okay, a little bit more. All right, so I'm going to put that in my bowl. Okay, oh, I should have also said what you're going to need. Sorry, you'll probably need a big mixing bowl, a cup. If you do not have a measuring cup, you can probably just use one of those smaller juice cups, and that usually is about 8 ounces too, so that would also work. All right, and here's my second cup. All right. All right, that one was a little bit easier. Okay, done with my flour. Okay, I'm going to measure out again. There's a cup. Okay, now I have my flour in my big bowl. Okay, you also, if you don't want to get your hands too messy, you can use a spoon to mix this up. It just takes a little bit longer. I think it's easier to use your hands. Okay, next up on my list is my tablespoon of oil, okay? So you can just get a regular spoon. If you have a big spoon, you can just use about half of it, okay? It's a tablespoon of oil so that it doesn't stick. All right, I just have regular vegetable oil, but you are welcome to use any oil you want. Does not make a difference, but it won't stick. It makes everything kind of chunk together a little bit nicer. So about a tablespoon. Okay, I'm gonna mix my oil. Okay, and that can get kind of greasy too, so just be careful with the oil. All right, and also please make sure that you are asking your parents' permission before you start building a volcano and making a mess. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna need is a cup of salt. If I can open it. All right, so we have a full cup, okay? And this is a lot of salt, so I do understand if you do not have these materials, that is okay. You can even, for my math people that would like a couple extra equations, okay, and some math problems to practice, you could cut this recipe in half. You could cut this recipe in quarters. That might be easier if you don't have all the materials or you're limited. Okay, there's my cup of salt. So now I got my flour and my salt kind of mixed in there. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to need, and I already pre-poured a cup of water somewhere, or I did. Okay, to put everything together, you're going to need a cup of water. Okay, so I'm going to measure out my cup. We would usually use our science sink. Okay, there's a cup. All right, and again, try not to go past that fill line because too much water, it won't really stick together that nice. Okay, and I'm going to add all of that in. All right, now I'm going to start off with my spoon, then I'll probably use my hands. Okay, you're just going to mix it until it starts to clump. All right, some of you guys may have already made this at different science camps, or if you are, a baker in the kitchen and you know how to mix really well, great. All right, so if you have siblings or if your parents want to help, make sure everybody gets a turn. If you feel like you added too much flour, you can add a little bit more water, or if it's sticking to stuff after you mix it, maybe add a little bit more oil. Okay, so I'm going to stop real quick. And if you notice, it's starting to kind of chunk together, all right? It's a little bit thicker than probably cake dough, okay? So I'm going to keep mixing until I get most of the flour kind of chunked in there. And do not eat this. It will not taste good. It is not edible. And that is not part of our lab safety, so make sure we're not eating it. All right, you're responsible. No pets can eat this. All right, please make sure you're watching anything that you drop. Okay, if you notice, I switched to my hands. All right, I'm going to start to chunk together my volcano dough. And at this point, once it starts to look like this and it's starting to kind of clump together, that's when, if you are using food coloring, you can start adding a couple drops and see how the colors mix together. I think it's kind of nice. If you want it darker, obviously more drops. If you wanted a lighter dough, I've seen some pink volcanoes in the past. They're very creative. Okay. So I'm almost done with the dough. All right. So now it almost looks like cookie dough. It's a little bit firmer. Okay. All right. Now, same as I said before, if you don't have the materials, or if you do have the materials and you want to make it any bigger than this, if you want a massive volcano, you can double the recipe, triple the recipe. But again, make sure you're asking your parents' permission. Don't go stealing flour and everything else. Oh, throwing pieces of dough on my computer. Oops. All right. So I'm just about done. Okay. Now, think about this, and if you've ever played with Play-Doh before, you know that if you leave it out or the container isn't sealed all the way, this will start to harden, okay? So usually after an hour, it starts to harden. Now, if you are making a volcano and you're doing this all at once, and you're making the dough and then you're going to explode your volcano, that's great. But you have to make sure that you either, one of two things, add a couple drops. So if I had a cup of water, okay, I might just want to dab my fingers in it, okay, and pat it down again. If you notice it starts to crack a little bit, you can add a little bit more water, okay, just so it stays kind of doughy. All right. So there is my homemade Play-Doh. Okay. So one thing I'll show you, and again, I'm not going to make my volcano explode tonight, but I will just show you the basic setup for how we would explode this. Like I said, I'll do another video later this week. Okay. So I have my little box. Okay, so if I were going to set this up for a volcano, now again, mine looks kind of small. You can make yours as big or as small as you want. Okay, you can make it look like a shield or a cinder cone or a composite volcano. Okay, you can make it really, really tall like a cone. You can make it really, really wide and fat. Okay, I'm just going to make mine look a little bit more like a shield volcano. So I have my sloping sides. Okay, it almost looks like a shield is taken out of the middle. So a shield volcano really does look like it has a shield removed from it. Okay, well, I guess now it looks more like a cinder cone volcano because it looks like a donut. Okay, so if I want to make it look more like a shield, I'm going to bulk it up a little bit more. Okay, and remember that cinder cone volcano, that's the one that looks like a lava cake we said. Okay. And if you want to make a composite volcano, you can just make it really, really tall. Okay. Yeah, it's looking more like a cinder cone volcano, but we tried our best. All right. So now, I don't know if you can see, has a hole in the middle. Okay, this is where we would put all of our materials to make the volcano explode. Okay, and I'll be doing that later this weekend. All right. So now that I'm finished, okay, my hands are still kind of doughy. I'm going to go wash them off. Okay, so make sure we're following all the guidelines for hand washing. All right, I also grabbed my Ziploc baggie. Okay, usually in class, I would just have you put your name on it. Okay, so I'll write Miss Cessna. Okay, and if you want to hide this somewhere, you can. I wouldn't recommend putting this in the refrigerator just because it does dry out the dough. But like I said, this can stay out as long as the container is sealed. So I'm going to get rid of my makeshift volcano. Okay. And I'm going to put it away for another day and wait for my explosion. Okay, later this weekend when it's hopefully nice out and I can put more materials in it. Okay, so there is my volcano dough. Okay, everything's sealed up. Everything's nice and safe. Now, dough is made. You put that aside. If we were in class, we would do it all one foul swoop, and we would do the explosion the same day as our building. But please, 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 especially because you are at home, all right, make sure that you are cleaning up after yourself, all right? If you use newspaper or a trash bag or a box layout, that might be a little bit easier for you to clean up, and you could just kind of crumple it together and throw it out. But please do not leave a mess for anybody in your household, all right? So, again, I use 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of salt, 1 cup of water, and I use a tablespoon of oil so that nothing would stick, okay? So later this weekend, I am going to be posting my volcano explosion video, and I might double my recipe for dough just so that you guys can see a little bit of a bigger explosion in the backyard, all right? So I hope everybody has a great weekend. If you try it out, I'd love to see pictures or videos. So enjoy the rest of your weekend and your spring break, and then I'll see you guys after. Thanks.